Right. Let's see here. Get some stuff out of my pockets. Looks like we got sound into OBS. Let's get our previews straightened out here. Let's chat over here. I don't have desktop sound. Nope, that's good. Okay. Move the microphone. Move the microphone just a bit. How's it going, C. Grover? Good morning. How's it going, Paul? I saw your MagTag message, but just a moment ago, before I started up the stream this morning. I am running a bit late this morning, truthfully. Didn't get up too long ago, didn't really have much time this morning. Okay, let's get the other preview over here. Got the chats there. Okay, we're on the screen on this one, right? Yep. Okay. This is into the Highscore. Let's jump over to here for just a moment. Let me also focus, I guess, real fast, and then we'll get going here. This one is... There we go. Okay, there we are. So good morning, everybody. This morning, we are picking up where we left off yesterday on the Octopus game with the high score. Specifically, today I have left to work on the NVM storage instead of SD card. We did SD card last night, so if you're interested in what we worked on today and you want to see the precursor to that, if you didn't catch yesterday's deep dive, check that out. I worked on storing the high score for the game inside the SD card, just plugged into the device. Today we'll work on NVM storage. Real quickly, for anybody that might be watching in the future, or if you're catching this live and you don't know what I'm talking about though, this is all related to CircuitPython. We're making this Octopus game on a CircuitPython device. If you don't know what that is, you can head to CircuitPython.org to learn more. Basically, this is a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. This is a little handheld game device, which is one of these microcontrollers. Has a nice little screen on the front and some buttons laid out like a gamepad. This is in a 3D printed case, that's why we can't see much of the board. But this implementation of Python, it runs on all these devices, and you can plug them into your computer or use your mobile phone as well to write Python code that runs on these microcontrollers and allows you to interact with other hardware devices like screens, buttons, beepers, buzzers, levers, lights, glowy rainbows, pretty much any kind of thing that you can imagine that you can communicate with electronically. These things can hook up to, and you can write Python code to do that interaction. So that's kind of the 50,000 level foot view, so to speak. CircuitPython is an open source project, so we welcome anybody who wants to get involved. There's a contributing link on the CircuitPython.org page. That's a good place to start. Another good thing to do is join us on the Discord, which is linked down below. And all the development takes place there. There's a weekly meeting that occurs there, so that's how I got involved, was just started hanging out in the Discord, trying to help people as they come along, and participating in the meetings, and trying to work on the currently active PRs and development processes, right? This is how I got involved as a community member. So head there if you are interested in that. And then I will finish by saying thank you to Adafruit. Adafruit is a hardware and software company based out of New York. They are the company that is paying myself to work on CircuitPython part-time, as well as all the folks on the team that work full-time on the project are paid by Adafruit to work on this project. So thank you to them, and thank you to anyone who wants to purchase hardware from them in order to support those of us that work on CircuitPython. So diving into our storage, yesterday I mentioned we got the SD card bit done. Today we are going to do the NVM, and I think there's really not going to be too much to do for it. Basically, we have a couple of functions where we have some, like, if we're using the SD card version of Highscore, then do this action. We're going to make an else if we're using NVM, then we'll have a slightly different action. There's probably 3 or 4 functions we need to do that in, and then the rest should just work, I think. Famous last words in software development, but I think that's how it should go. So we'll start with initialize. I guess actually one thing I'll need is I do need to get well, I don't need to get it, but I'm going to use it, the NVM helper library that I created. I don't know if it's just, I don't know the name of this repo. Nope, that was not it. I just don't know if I submitted it to Community Bundle. If not, we probably want to do that. Oh, okay, I put my name. I probably did then submit it to the Community Bundle. Made a release and everything. Let's check that too. So it should be installable with Circup if it's in the Community Bundle, I think. Like, okay, copy that. Oh, well that's REPL. We want this one though. Circup. I think this will work if it's in the Community Bundle. CircuitPython Bundle. Yeah, Community Bundle. There we go. Ready to install. There we go. Installed. Nice. There we go. I'll need to check on, I think the Learn Guide bundler can get it from there as well, so theoretically it should be able to get put into the Learn Guide bundle also. Let's get this over here. Let me look back at the example too. It's been a little while since I used the NVM helper, truthfully. Okay. I do recall it's nice and easy though, so we're just going to import it. We basically can call save data, load data. That's all we need as far as the interface with that. So in our initialize, we'll be saying elif high score type is whoa, what's that? Got cats getting rambunctious. How's it going, DJ Devin? We will go NVM. Then really what we want to do is we want to read the data that's there, and then if it's not what we expect, then we want to set it to our object. But if, yeah, because that's basically what this is doing. It's checking the file. If the file is not there, then it's creating the file and it's putting the initial data inside of it. So we want to do basically the same thing. We want to read the data from NVM. Oh, I can't find it to import. Interesting. Oh, weird. This can, though. Weird. I guess, well, okay, because it's renamed. I see. That makes sense. Read data. So then we would check, I guess, if high score list is there. I don't know what it does if, I don't know what it does if there's, like, not an object there. Or nothing, for instance, either. Should probably test that a bit. And I suppose when I start out with it here, it'll be blank or whatever's there. I don't think I ever did any NVM stuff on this device. It's possible I did and forgot about it, though. It's definitely possible. So if it's not there, then we basically just want to write data. So we're going to make an object and write it. So we'll say NVM helper.write or save data subject. We should probably, well, there's also like dry run, I think, or test run or something, right? Test run, yeah, test run false. I guess we could just leave it as I think it defaults to true. That way it doesn't actually save until you change test run to false, which is like opposite a lot of APIs. But I also wanted to make it explicit that you were going to write to the NVM, because I guess the memory can have limited write cycles or whatever, like a couple thousand times or something, tens of thousands of times or something. It's not a particularly low limit, but I guess it wears out or something like that. So I wanted to make it, make you aware that you're definitely writing to it and not just do it by default. Especially if this is happening like inside a main loop or something, right? That could be running really, really fast. So we will do verbose, I guess. That will let us see, I guess, what it's writing and such. I don't know if there's a verbose on read. My goodness. Is there a verbose on read? There is. Why don't we do that too? Just for now, so we could see what is there, or what it does when there's nothing there. How's it going, K-Match? Welcome in this morning. Hope I can listen and learn a bit while you got a connection. Nice, yeah. Octopus game. Let's see, prior streams. Yes, yeah, good point, DJ Devin. Yeah, there are prior streams. There are some Sundays as well. I think there are ones without deep dive in the name. If you search on my YouTube for Octopus, you'll probably find some as well. We were working on a high score today, K-Match, for this Octopus game, specifically NVM, storing the high score inside NVM. We did SD card last night. Yeah, I think that's all we really need for initialize. We'll need to come back and set this to test run false eventually, but I'm curious to let it run like this first and just see what it prints out. That way, if there's anything wrong with it, we can fix it before we've written a bunch of times and started wearing out the RAM chip or whatever. I don't know what wears out, but read data. So we're basically just going to call read data and then look for one thing we probably need to handle is what if this data object doesn't have the right thing inside of it? Oh, well, I guess that we initialize it with it in there, but I suppose... we could get into a state where if the person modified the file manually, they could take out this key of the dictionary, but not delete the file. And then I think this would be broken. Maybe we should have one more check that says if the file is there, then look inside of it and see if it has a high score list or not. Maybe even check if that's a typed list after it. I don't know how much we need to be defensive about it too, though, because I do think the only way that happens is if somebody modifies the file, or I guess if the file got corrupted, it could be the same thing, but we'll save it for now. We're gonna read the data. We also decided yesterday this should return, I think. So let's go return data object as well from this. I guess we should probably check on this one at least, though, because this one is, more likely to have gotten changed without them, like, explicitly opening a file and changing it, right? They could just have another script that wrote something into NVM, so here we should check if high score list is in read data keys, then return it. Otherwise, I think we just return none. If we made it down to here, we just return none. which I guess will happen by default anyway, but... Let's fill that in. Write high score. So writing it, we'll do the same thing here, call initialize, which I guess we could probably just do up here maybe. Alright, this gets passed to us, so that's easy. We just are gonna write this object with save data. What? We'll still come back and switch that. Okay, this one doesn't care where the object came from. It's just taking the data that's in the object that was passed to it, putting it in the label, so we don't need to change anything here. Evaluate high score. Ah, right, okay, this is where this one is basically defaulting to read the SD card. Really what it should be doing is saved score data equals read. Now it will read from the appropriate place. Get it into here. Apparently we had a bunch of spots where we had this. Okay. Manually went to Adafruit's YouTube, clicked deep dive, watched about 5 minutes before I figured out that wasn't the live stream. Uh-oh. Yikes. Yeah, sorry about that. On Saturdays, we're on my channel. I did that with something else recently. You know what it was for me? Recently, it was on a Wednesday. So on Wednesday nights, Show and Tell and Ask an Engineer are typically on back-to-back. The regular schedule is those two shows are on back-to-back. I mean, in my time zone, it's 6:30 for Show and Tell, and it's 7 o'clock for Ask an Engineer. Again, that's my time zone, which is not generally how it's advertised, but that's how I think of it. But what YouTube does is you tune in for Show and Tell, and at the end of Show and Tell ends, and if you just sit there long enough, YouTube will start up another video, but it will just like pick a video randomly. It doesn't bother to check that like the channel you are watching is live again. You know, maybe you want to follow them to the new live. Nope. Just randomly, we're gonna pick a video out of their history somewhere. So yeah, couple Wednesdays ago, I was watching Show and Tell. Ask an Engineer started, and I watched the first couple of minutes, and I was like, this feels weird. This feels like either deja vu, I've heard some of this before, or it's just like about old stuff. I don't understand why they're talking about it now. And yeah, I was totally watching an older Ask an Engineer that auto-started after Show and Tell, thinking it was the live one. Yeah. Yep. That is exactly what I did. I was, in that moment, I was like, oh my goodness, that's so silly of me. But also, like, it's so silly of YouTube, frankly. YouTube is the entity here who's being silly. Like, they have all the information to know, you know, when a live stream ends, like, they can look at the channel that was streaming and be like, oh, there's another live stream. Maybe that should be where we redirect them to. Like, it's crazy to me they haven't hooked that bit up yet. I'm sure they will one of these days, but Okay, so we're gonna now read it from wherever it's stored. We don't care at this point anymore where it's stored. We're gonna read it, put it into here, set a variable to know if we actually added to it or not. Check if it has anything inside of it, and if not, then just append the current score into the high score list, which should definitely exist because read calls initialize, and initialize will create it. Although actually, read does not call initialize for this one. So it should. So we should actually say out here, initialize. And I guess maybe this shouldn't be called file, right? Maybe we should call this initialized high score, just full stop, or data. Because it's a file when it's on the SD card, but it's a bytes in NVM when it's in NVM. Data, let's go shorter. I'm usually more for like more descriptive, longer names. This I think is still plenty descriptive and is shorter, so that's good. Fell asleep last night to the Friday stream, then woke up at 1 a.m. to yeah, deep dive from a year ago, yeah. The YouTube rabbit hole is fun sometimes. Would like to have a persistent live channel lock option for YouTube. There's a broadcast display, then play music or commercials. Yeah, that's a good idea, because there are some channels live all the time. It would be cool if you could set up a list of like followed live channels or whatever, and you would have a feed that's just like, here's one of them that's live right now. You could even maybe, if you wanted to, they could have you like rearrange them in order. So it'd be like, if the top one is online, then that's the one you watch. But then if not, it goes down and down until it finds one. Then you just put the always on 24/7 at the bottom. Go through the list. Yeah, that would actually be really cool. I wonder if you could do that with just YouTube API. Somebody, like a third party, might be able to do that, I wonder. Yeah, agreed, DJ Devin. Yeah, the randomly picking another old one in between two live streams. Super weird. Old time over the air. Yep. It's funny how it has wrapped back around to that kind of. You know, like internet video was always the key component to it was that it was recorded and you could watch it anytime. But then like Twitch and live streaming came along, and then suddenly it's like everybody is on the other end of what it used to be. Okay. So now we're calling initialize inside read, and we're calling read. Oh, I see. We were calling initialize. I see. Okay. We were calling it inside write, but I think it's fine. That's fine as well. We can do that. I mean, ideally, we're calling initialize more than we actually need to, probably. Because we don't want to be in a state where we're trying to read or write and we haven't initialized. And initialize has guards for if it's already been run, then it won't do anything else. Yeah. Okay, so back to this logic, we said we did not have any, so we added the first one, only one at this point. We wrote it. If we did have some, though, we go in here, we loop over all the ones we have, we check if the current score, I need to stop using the mouse. Wish I could just disable that functionality altogether. I never want to drag text around with the mouse. I always just want to highlight and look at what I'm thinking about. Looping over each score, checking if the current score is lower than the one that we got this time, the current one in the list, checking if it's lower than the score we got this time. If it is, we're going to add our new score to the list at that point. If there's more than 4 in the list, we're going to remove the last one so that we constantly have the maximum of 4. Write the data break so that we don't loop anymore. We'll stop checking the rest of the list. It means we'll only insert once at the highest point in the list where we should be. If there's less, no, if we did not add our score, but if there also are not 4 in the list, then, so our new score was not higher than any of the 0 to 3 in the list, or 1 to 3 in the list, I should say, was not higher, but there's less than 4, therefore we deserve to go in the list anyway at the end. Well, also, as long as our current score is not already in the list, then we deserve to go in at the end. We append it to the end, our current score, we write it. Sounds good to me. So I'll save it, but one thing we'll still need to do is actually switch it over, because right now it's still on SD card. And then, of course, we are still on like test run for a lot of these NVM save and load stuff. So, or well, mostly save. I don't think the load has a test run. Oh. So we'll need to switch those, but we should at least be able to see some stuff getting printed about it trying to load and save. I think this is just like as, maybe we want as, not from. That's the problem. Import this as. Try to alt tab to here and that does not work. Okay. So for one thing, we oh. Ah, okay. This is probably what happens when, yeah, when there's not actually data inside the NVM. Probably here. Is actually inside read data, so I mean, one question is, should the library be catching this exception? Or should it be passing it up to the user code? It's basically saying 118, we try to call unpack on it as though it's actual data, and then it raised an exception because it was not actual data. It actually seems pretty fair, truthfully. So I think user code should be checking this. So we go try, we go accept, EOF. That's what it was, right? Yeah. In that case, just read data equals none. Then if read data is not none, and if that's not in the list, oh, no. If not read data, or so if read data is none, we go in here and do this. Or if read data is not none, we check if high score list is inside of it, and if it's not, then we still go in here and do this. Nope, still crashed. EOF error again. Another spot where we need to catch it? Oh, yeah, I guess we will here too, probably. Is this not scrolled down? Okay. It's like it cannot be that error from that line. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, this makes sense too. So we just go try here, catch, and then return none if. Honestly, we could just pass, right? So we'll end up returning none anyway. I'd go for 24/7 live Adafruit stream. Maybe that's one way around it. Adafruit sets up never-ending live stream that pays through its own past videos randomly during the live streams. There's like live weather on YouTube that do that kind of thing. Yeah, that's true. Adafruit has enough past content where they could pull something like that off now. The Maker's Doggy channel for weather personally, but same thing. Something always running in the background, giving updates, live updates to GitHub PRs. Yeah, that would be cool if we sourced it with API data as well. So it would cycle through old programming, and it would also show people when they're actually live. I think that's the the most prominent stuff is it showing people when they're live, cycling through old content, but it could also like pull in, GitHub update on the 8s or whatever, right? Like every so many minutes it could pull in this is the most recent PR activity across the whole project. Like link to it or just show what it is going on with it or something. It could show the stats that we talk about in the weekly meeting, the number of like open issues and open PRs and all that stuff. That could be like a slide that gets pulled in. Definitely some interesting possibilities there. Okay, so we're no longer crashing, which is good. I think we are reading, and it's like, well, at some point yeah, so it did initialize, actually. I pressed it a bunch of times. This is why this printed over and over. I kind of spammed it a bit. But basically, it read the first time. It got pretty much nothing. It's going to write it here, but because test run is true, it's not actually gonna write it. And I pressed it a couple more times, and so it kind of just did all this stuff again several times here. But it does look good to me. This would be what our data looks like when it's actually stored in there. Of course, it's an empty list right now, so eventually it'll also have scores in it. But that looks pretty good to me, I think, so. Save data, we'll turn this to false. Live stream of CircuitPython dev, yeah. Of across all Adafruit work, really. Show 3D model updates and Arduino driver updates, CircuitPython updates. Hardware like PCB, new PCB designs and stuff. It would be pretty cool. Okay, we should have one more of these, right? Save data somewhere else, don't we? I'll leave verbose true for now. We'll just watch the first couple and make sure things look alright. As long as everything's working fine, then I'll probably just take the verbose out. I don't think the actual game needs to print all of that stuff. It's basically like all those byte representations of what it's gonna try to save into the NVM. Can't scoot up any farther. Okay. Oh, my music paused. So one thing that is a little bit weird is the two different high score technologies are kind of divergent. Like, you can have a different list of scores stored in the file than what's in NVM at any given time. And they don't, neither one references the other. So it's just like two different high score lists, basically. Actually kind of interesting. If you're a real Octopus pro gamer, you could, oops, not me apparently, as you see. You could max out the high score list on one mode and then switch over to the other mode and max out the high score list again. Oh, yep. I knew that was coming. I don't know why I went there. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh no, the last one. Oh no, something didn't work right. I can't see the high score. Oh. Hmm. Well, that's odd. So it's got the data in it. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, we never call update if we're doing NVM. I see. There's a channel dedicated to just the Adafruit GitHub because people do chat in the dev channel sometimes as needed. Everything in the feeds category is read-only, I think. All the data could be used in live streams. Yeah, there are a couple of things that feed triggers into Discord for some of those channels. Interesting. Okay. I don't know why it didn't trigger the first time, but it did the second time. So there's our 58. Our 58 did get scored, like saved. We just didn't show it properly last time. Could have still been there. Should have stayed on the right side of that one. You can actually beat 58? Oh no. It's alright, that was our first life. Got this. Okay, I did beat it. I need to beat it by that much. Just get caught. Make sure 64 gets inserted in the right spot. Oh, nice. Okay. I do think that's working. And turn off the verbose stuff. What else is left to do? I guess I did not actually comment this stuff as thoroughly as I could have. Should probably do that. Another thing I need to do still. Feels a touch slow. I guess I'm in game A and game B is supposed to be faster. I suppose that's another thing, is we didn't really separate game A and game B high scores. I think that's alright. I don't even think the original one had a high score, so this is all like stuff we're adding after the fact. I know what NVM means. What is NVM in this case? The flash or SRAM. Is NVM just a general term for the onboard RAM? I don't think I've had a board with EEPROM, but what's the difference between EEPROM and SRAM for Adafruit board? All the RAM terminology gets confusing for me sometimes. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I am probably not well equipped enough to answer that. All I know is NVM is persistent. So it keeps it for us while the device is turned off. But as far as like which chip physically it's stored inside of, I don't really know. To be honest with you, I don't know the difference between all the different places that we can store stuff. I know we have flash and we have SRAM, different kinds of RAMs, PS RAMs. I don't know though. I'm kind of with you. I don't really know what's what and where anything is at. The reserved section on volatile memory. QSpy flash. I do think it's possible. I have no idea across the devices that exist today, but I suspect it's probably possible that the NVM interface, which is presented to the CircuitPython layer inside the core, could probably be hooked up to a number of different types of memory, I would guess. As long as whatever it is can store persistently, I would assume that the core could like hook up on the inside part of it to this NVM API and store it in that spot. And it could be different from device to device. When a chip has built-in flash, that's where it is? Okay. ESP IDF has its own NVM system that the microcontroller NVM plugs into. Non-volatile means it stays. Yeah. One thing we could do, I think there's room to speed up just a bit. I do think the game is maybe a little bit too slow at its current pace. Could probably get rid of these. Let's start by just printing the current speed, which I guess is actually going to be inside Octopus, the speed that I care about at least. There's too many things called Octopus. We should also note on these that higher value means slower speed. So the lower these are, the faster the game goes. So if I just want it, I have a couple of different levers we can pull. We could, if we just want the entire game to get faster, no matter what, we could change the base tick delay to lower. Everything will speed up. If we wanted to change the maximum speed, we could also lower the final value of this equation here by either subtracting a bigger number, or starting with a smaller number. That would also make, and this is like the maximum speed it gets as you get more score. It's weird to think about a maximum, like the actual maximum is the lowest value. I wonder if we should use some swapping math or something in there. Try to make it so higher values are faster. Oh, interesting. The first time you press the button, it doesn't show the score. It only shows the score the second time you press the button. Does it start with it showing but not load it properly? It almost feels like it starts with it visible but doesn't load it properly. Therefore, the first time you press hides it, even though we couldn't see it. The next time you press shows it and loads the text into it properly. Okay, we'll look into that after. I'm curious to see what this thing reports. Per tick speed 0. Oh, okay, I did my math wrong, I guess. So you can see it changing as we get points. Although it's obviously it changes very subtly, right? We're still on 0.03 seconds. I think this is backwards though. Really what I was hoping to get was the value of time. I guess would be this whole thing here. So that 0.72 whatever, that's a fraction of a second in between each octopus action. So right now the octopus is moving one tentacle segment every 0.71 seconds. And as we keep getting higher score, that time will keep decreasing, so the Octopus is actually moving faster and faster over time. Well, not over time, but over as we get more score. Now we're down to 0.63, so we're almost a full second faster. Or not a full second, obviously, a full tenth of a second, excuse me. Oh, got caught. Is that the last one? No, we got one more life. I think we just busted onto the top of the list again. I should read up. I think there's a reset at some point. You get more lives back. Gotta read into that. I think it's pretty high though. It's like higher than I've ever felt like I could get in the game. But I guess I've never like sat down and gave it a real honest effort. Like this, I'm kind of reaching. You guys, I don't know if you can see exactly how far I'm reaching, but it's kind of difficult to play in that position. Actually, it's starting to make my neck a little sore. Oh, stretch it out. Okay. Goodness. Let me catch up on the chat here as well. Oh man, yeah, gonna have to pull that in a little closer to me. Let's see here. But it isn't always a way to use. Isn't there always a way to use some of the SRAM? Heard lady talk about sometimes. I think I need to program our EEPROM. Some types of non-volatile RAM. I don't know how accurate the term RAM is anymore. Compared to conventional HDD platters, all flash acts like RAM in comparison. That's my understanding, yeah. But I actually don't know truthfully it is. I wonder though, did we not? Is this old or? We should have 107 at the top of the list. Okay, yeah, just hadn't gotten put in yet, I guess. We must have verbose on somewhere still, actually, because this is all verbose data. So we made it down to about 0.53 at 100. I think that's pretty good, actually, now that I see the numbers quantified. All 3 lives are restored once the player hits 200 and 500 points. I guess 200 feels kind of attainable, and then I suppose if you get 3 more lives, maybe that makes 500 feel within reach, but I don't believe we have that logic in. The other thing I guess we don't currently have in is A and B are not different, so I guess let's make B faster by just subtracting a little bit extra, right? Or do we make a different base tick delay? It's pretty much, this is saying that whatever value is here is actually the fastest that it can end up going. So as you ramp up your score, eventually you'll get to a point where the octopus is moving 10 times per second, and that's as fast as it will ever get. Although that sounds plenty fast for me. Does the octopus tick get the game object passed in? I think it does, right? So yeah, I think maybe we just subtract like one extra thing here for the game mode, you know, game mode adjustment. Also figure out we should have game mode stored somewhere, right? Current game mode, yeah. Should break this out to a variable so we can make changes to it in one place and not change it everywhere. What I'm worried about is it going negative, so I think maybe we... I think we do it like this. We put this one on base tick delay minus 0.2. So now the actual lowest speed, not accounting for any other adjustments, is 0.2, 2/10 of a second instead of 0.1. But what we will do is we will just subtract on top of that our adjustment value. So for game mode A, we won't subtract anything, but for game mode B, we will. And that will subtract the 0.2 pretty much, which gets us down to basically 0. So in game mode B, once you get enough points, there will be no more artificial slowing of the game. The game will run as fast as the microcontroller will let it, which I don't know how quick that will be, but I suspect it'll be pretty hard to play. But I feel like you've earned that. If you've moved on to game B and you've got your score up to that level, you are ready for a challenge. So let's give you the challenge, I think. Just Let's throw everything we got at it pretty much. Make it as fast as we can. So what I want is a property on the game object that will return the correct one of these adjustment values based on the current state. Not state, but game mode. I know A is 0, like theoretically we could just not do that, or we could make the logic different. I'm leaving it this way just in case if we ever do decide, like maybe I want to put A at -1 or something. You know, maybe I do want to make it a little faster. That's one way we could do it now. So game mode A should pretty much feel the same. Game mode B should now feel faster. I'm gonna try to scoot over a bit. I probably am gonna pull myself out of frame, but I'm gonna try to do this a little more. Oh, doesn't matter because our friend the camera died again. I'm gonna play game mode A again and just make sure it still feels pretty much the same. Get caught. I guess we could see the printouts as well. Oh, got caught. So now let's try game mode B. Oh yeah, definitely feels faster right out of the gate. Oh, I'm not scrolled to the bottom, so those values we're seeing are not current. In fact, we're scrolled to the top somehow. Oh, got caught. Shouldn't that be lower though? Shouldn't it be like 0.5 now? Did we not? We didn't minus it, did we? We didn't minus it, and it's not actually slower. See that placebo effect there? Because we made the property, but we didn't use it, did we? Let me catch it up also. They didn't want to make the game too fast for their target demographic, which is probably 8 to 14. Perhaps why they had 2 game mode speeds, yeah. Separate high scores would be nice. I think, yeah, I don't know if I will do it for sure. I do agree it would be nice, but I also do want to get this repped up and get the guide out and such. Yeah, we'll see. I'll see. I guess luckily I will say the way that we've done the high score lends itself to adding another one fairly easily because we're actually storing a data like a dictionary with with a string key. You could just make a game A1 in the key and a game B1 in the key. You could just add A and B, have two different lists, but then it's also got to have a bunch of logic about which one to show, which one to put into the label at any given time. So it's not too much extra complexity from the storage front, but still a bit of extra complexity from the showing front. So I do think it would be cool, but I don't know for sure if I will do it in time for the initial release. I kind of want to get it wrapped up and get the guide out. Yeah, game object dot mode speed adjustment. Still says 0.75. Are we not getting set to game mode B correctly? Maybe we're not getting set to game mode B correctly. Hmm. Shouldn't we be at like 0.55 then, instead of 0.75? Because we just have a subtract at the end of everything. Hmm. Zero. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, color me thoroughly perplexed. I don't know why. Game mode 0. Oh my goodness. State machine variables don't have different variable values, therefore our state machine doesn't have different states. That will do it. That will do it. There we go. That's what we're expecting, 0.55. So Octopus is faster this time around. Yeah. And in spite of the placebo effect earlier that made me think it was faster, I do actually think it is legitimately faster now. Oh. Yeah, I even, that's interesting. I've been playing A so long, or, I mean, I've been playing it without a difference for so long, I, underestimate how much time I have, or overestimate how much time I have. When the tentacle's coming down, I'm still set in the 0.7 mindset, and I wait too long on that one before I did at least. Good news is they also get out of your way faster. The speed is kind of like double-edged like that. Like, it makes it easier to get caught, but it also makes it so that you don't have to wait as long when you're cut off. I'm dead. Oh my goodness, how did I make it? Oh, I'm dead this time, though. 64, not bad, not bad. Second on the list, not bad. Is there a repo for my current code? There is, but it is not checked in as of today. I will go ahead and do that, though. It is actually just the Learn Guide repo. It's a branch of the Learn Guide repo. I'm like, it has to be in here. I don't know why I'm not seeing it. It's blind, I guess. I thought... Yes. I was like, I just learned the other day a shortcut that will help me do exactly what I want to do right now, which is whatever file you have open here, you want to find it in this list, right? This thing right here, for those of you that have been using PyCharm, this thing right here, this little target thingy, whatever this is, this will find whatever file has focus in your tabs here. It will find it in this list and highlight it for you, which is amazing. Especially in a project like this, where there are 1 million folders that contain all these different code files. I would have been still scrolling, probably. And I probably would have scrolled past it, too, truthfully, because my spelling is not that good. Let's copy the current code. One thing I will say, the code that is in this repo is organized differently. As of right now, all the sprites are inside this folder called sprites, whereas I think the code and like on my device, I think they're actually in the root, right? Like I just have all these in the root of CircuitPy, so I need to put the sprites folder inside the code. So if anybody's interested in playing this right now, I'm pretty sure the code is playable, but you'll have to dump all the sprites into the root of your drive instead of inside that folder that they're in. Just a heads up. I'll get a link to that branch too. I know GitHub is not always the easiest to find just one random specific branch somewhere. Luckily, it will float it to the top if we do it like this. I see nothing in there with the word octopus. Still got to be local. It is, yeah, it's on a branch. It's on this branch. It's not on the main branch yet. So unless you had my specific branch, you wouldn't have any octopus. Well, unless, I don't, maybe if there was another project with octopus, maybe that would be in there. I don't know, but that is where you can find it for now. Let's do, let's reset the lives, 200 and 500. Guess figure out where we want to do that. Let's look at the right button first. Let's look there. Maybe it makes sense to do it in here. Maybe it makes sense to do it deeper in. We'll take a look at the logic. Determine. Yeah. We could clear that actually. We don't need this big old thing here. Searching through Adafruit main makes sense. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, right button. So if we're not in game over or waiting to play, if the boat diver is currently showing, that's not the case we care about. If the boat diver isn't currently showing, that's closer. If not, player hidden. So if the player is showing, store the treasure count before moving, tell the player to move forward. If the treasure count changed, then we know that we got one treasure, so we increment the score right here. So I think this is totally where it makes the most sense to reset lives. If we could type. So let me think about this though, because this is only when we take treasure from the treasure chest we get +1. We also get +3 for returning the treasure to the boat. So we don't want to do this here, actually. We don't want to do this here. We have a property setter. We should do this inside of here so that no matter how our score is getting set, we are gonna do the check. One moment though, I'm gonna turn a fan on real quick. Okay, get some air moving in here. One other thing we'll want to do is let's make sure that when we are taking the when we're getting our 3, let's make sure that we're not adding 3 all at once. I'm pretty sure they're +1, +1, +1. I'm pretty sure it's 3 +1s. But let's make sure, because if it is actually a +3, then the logic will need to be a little bit different here versus if it is actually +1s. Because if it's actually +1s, we could just check for the literal value new score of 200, 500, bang on, reset it if it's true, and then we're good to go. But if we are plussing 3, then we'll need to account for the fact that we might go from, like, 199 to 202 or something, right? So that is going to be more like in the left button press. Okay. If the player just moved from the last spot in the water to the boat, set the location index to 0. Okay, I gotta go feed the cat. I'll be back. Sorry, everybody. will just sit here underneath me, bite my legs if I do not feed him. Where am I at? Or the timestamp for the animation. Deposit treasure. Yeah, +1 inside a for loop. So we should not need to worry about skipping past. We should be able to just say start on 2 or 3? 2. Because it lets you play 0, right? When you have 0 extra lives, you still have one diver to play with. We can call update, which will show them correctly on the screen. Okay, so I want to test that this will work, but I don't really want to try to have to play all the way up to 200. I don't think I'm good enough to do that reliably, so I think what we're going to do is cheat just a little bit. We are going to set the score at the beginning to just be like 180-ish, and then I should be able to get to 200. I should be able to lose at least 1 life, get to 200, see it reset. Maybe we'll do the same thing around 500 if we need to. These call reset before the game begins. We go score equals 180. It's going to throw off my high scores as well, but that's alright. We'll reset them after we're done with this. Oh, now we're in the repo instead of on the device. Okay. So getting used to GitHub. Don't want to do anything in a CP branch. Accidentally push commits for a personal project to Adafruit's mains. That's the stuff of awkward nightmares. Yeah, I would say don't worry too much about it. They're pretty well locked down on permissions. Like once you are a member of CircuitPython Librarians team, then you have permission to commit. But if you're not a member of that team already on GitHub, I mean specifically on GitHub, I think maybe if it's a team or an organization or whatever, I don't know the exact proper term for it, sorry, but if you're not a member of that thing on GitHub, then you won't have the rights to push. So even if you tried to push to main, it won't let you. And I will say for those of you that might be a member of that team or might hope to one day become a member of that team, it's also good for you. Yes, you need to worry about it a little bit more, obviously, than somebody who's not on that team. But one of the beautiful things about version control is that it keeps a version of every change, right? So mistakes happen, right? We are all humans. Humans make mistakes. Mistakes happen. The good news is, like, we can infinitely revert back to any point in the past. So if it accidentally gets broken or whatever, we revert back to the last time it wasn't broken, you know, as soon as we catch it, and that's really not the end of the world. So don't spend too much time worrying about, you know, what happens if I accidentally mess something up in the code base. Oh, Why are we so fast? Something is wrong here. Oh, well, because of the score, right. I failed to account for the fact that our high score of 180 is actually going to make this game much, much, much harder. I wonder if I can actually get us over 200. I might have bitten off more than I can handle here. Maybe we should have started at 190. I wouldn't even have made that, actually, either. Okay, one more time. We gotta try again. So that is quite fast. I wonder if we do want to slow it down a hair. Dang. Oh no. Wow. So close. There we go. It came back. Our extra life. Oh, I'm dead. Yeah. There's no way I'm gonna get up to 500. Honestly, I'm not sure I could actually make it to 200 legitimately. After seeing how fast it is, I'd have to practice a lot. I don't know, maybe with like an hour of practice. I guess that's the thing though. A kid who is playing this game probably put more than 1 hour into it, right? Like this is probably, you know, long road trip with the parents playing in the back seat type thing or something. Okay, so it did reset. We could try to check 500. 500 is going to be even faster, though. I don't know how realistic it is that anybody gets to 500. We're going to give ourselves the best chance possible here. Maybe let's... Curious how slow, or how fast it is, rather. I'm going to go game A for sure. 0.2. Oh my goodness. Nope. Oh, we did it. Oh, but and I did. Yeah, I did lose one even. And it did reset. Okay. Yeah, this speed's not bad. I mean, you can still, like... You can still grab more than one treasure when you're down there, typically. Which is the main thing I wanted. Oh, too slow. I needed to go back before that last one. Although I guess just grabbing one and then going back, that's probably the most efficient, isn't it? Because you do get... You get 3 points when you get back to the boat, no matter how many... Oh, lost it there. Oh, I did exactly 20 again. Interesting. But these 20 were harder because of the speed. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good, like, top end for game A. That still felt playable. Game B will be even faster. Game B will basically max out, I think, at 0. I think it'll just go as fast as the, Oh. Yeah. That might be a bit fast, huh? Oh, it's like weird. Something got messed up in the floats. It's just very low. Okay, maybe we should tweak that just a bit. We do still want B to be playable. Maybe 0.18? Is that enough of a difference to matter? I don't know. It feels random at this point. I feel like there's no strategy, I don't think, here. Even without librarian permissions, I'm cautious and respectful. I've done damage in past careers. That's fair. Yeah, that's definitely fair and respectable. And I don't mean to say, like, don't be careful, just that don't beat yourself up too much over it. It's not the end of the world if stuff gets broken. So the only way to push is with PRs. That makes sense. Makes me feel better. Phew. I mean, if you are a librarian, it is you have the technological permission to push to main, but the only way that we do typically do it is with PRs. People do not generally intentionally push to main, but it is technically possible if you have that permission, because the permissions are tied. Like, you have to have permission to be able to commit to main in order to be able to merge the PR. So the review team, who's going to be the one clicking the merge button, by necessity, they also do have the right to push to main directly. We just don't do it that way. We use the PRs always. Being a CP librarian, have to be careful when I make edits directly on GitHub. Yeah, I don't do the direct GitHub edit too much. I'm a lot more comfortable in my IDE and then pushing when I'm done, because that way, like, I get a chance, like, if anything goes weird while I'm making changes, I get a chance to be like, no, cancel all that and just don't push. Yeah. Yeah, which is, it looks like kind of what you're talking about as well. Road trips are probably why those things were made in the first place. Road trips today with modern gadgets are so much different. Yeah, I could believe that. With smartphones, definitely changes the game. And Switch and all that stuff. Even without librarian permissions, I'm cautious. Yeah. Used GitHub for years, but only for my own use. Drag and drop for code storage, basically. Now I'm actually using it. Designed with a large group of people is a little overwhelming. I can relate to that, honestly. I didn't use... I only used version control with, like, one... The majority of my experience with development, I used version control with, like, one or two other people, maximum, until I started in with CircuitPython, of course. And then it's definitely the largest group that I have worked with, but I know, of course, like, there are larger companies out there with larger code bases that are worked on by many more people. I just have not had that experience personally. Had to set up other components like Black pre-commit. Yeah, that's true. It is a lot to set up when you first get going. So I wonder, maybe we don't want to do this here. Maybe we want to still keep B being that much faster, but just raise the maximum a bit here, like inside of Octopus. We have this. We could basically do like a 0.3 here, and then that would mean the fastest you can get on game mode B is actually down to 0.1 seconds in between actions, I think. On game mode B. Yeah. 0.1, yeah. Nope. It's tough. I don't know. May still be too fast. I haven't even gotten one yet. Oh no, I did. I got exactly one. Okay, here we go. One more. Plus 4 for getting it back. 3, I mean. 4 total. I guess that's the strategy, probably. Once you get this fast, you should always just take one treasure and go back, because that trip of down, treasure, back, and up, that's worth 4 points, whereas it's much slower if you try to sit here and spam to take multiples, because you actually have to wait on the animation. Okay. This is still pretty difficult, but I feel like is within the realm of playable. Maybe if we wanted to nudge it ever so gently further, we would hack on a 5 there. Okay, yeah, this feels like a good maximum. And I definitely think by the time you're at 500 points, you should be at maximum speed. I don't want it to ramp up so slow that like you need to make it to 1,000 or something for it to be on max speed. Oh, shouldn't have gone there. Oh, did we reset at 500? I guess we must have, right? Oh no, I rocked right into it anyway. Nope. 506. Let's see what game mode A feels like. This will have a slower maximum, right? Oh yeah. I think this feels pretty good for game mode A as well. Game mode A is meant to be easier, so... Be curious to do the math and figure out where the maximum speed occurs. What score that is, based on the algorithm we have. Nope. Yeah, see, game mode A, you can kind of stay there and spam to get more out of the chest. Oh, he topped it by 1. You can stay there and spam and get more out. Game mode B, it seems like you pretty much want to go in and out, not stay there at all, because that last tentacle will get you if you stay there. Play at 950. Oh, it hits max speed. I don't actually know where it hits max speed, but I know that it is at the max speed by the time you're at 500. That makes sense. Like, I don't know what specific score where it crosses the line, but I know that it is there at 500. And I think it is not there yet at 200, if I recall correctly. So it's somewhere between, 200 and 500 is when it actually gets to the maximum speed. Where's my reset? Let's double check that. I'm pretty sure it's not at maximum speed yet for 200. Go game mode A. Yeah, 0.366. I guess it's close, though. It is pretty close. So I think 3.5 is the max now. It is actually probably somewhere around 200. I think makes sense. It's going to reset there as well. Nice. Yeah, 3.5. So for game mode A, 0.35 is the max speed. For game mode B, it's 0.15 is the max speed. And you do actually get there somewhere right around 200. I don't know if it was exactly 200 or what, but it was somewhere right around there, which I think makes sense. Around the time that it resets for you, you get your lost lives back. It makes sense that around the first time that happens is about when the game would be at max speed. So then you need to play for another 300 points at max speed to reset again. Which feels like a good challenge, I think. I mean, doesn't feel impossible. Yeah, 202, 203. Okay. Okay, so we have a couple more changes now. I will go back and update the repo. Should probably go through and comment the rest of this stuff up as well. I think I'm liking the state we're in, so I want to get the rest commented up. Mostly it's around the NVM and the SD card stuff. A couple of these. Should these be together? Maybe they should be separate. Built-in display. Could probably get rid of this now. Oh, we're in initialize? I guess here we would do the import. That's not going to work, is it? There's actually not really any setup to do. The setup for the SD card is like, you know, initializing the hardware, connecting to the SD card so that it becomes a drive that we can then later read and write files with. For NVM helper, pretty much importing it is the only thing that needs to be done. So you don't actually need to do anything different here. What we should do though is on our import, we should not require this unless you are wanting to use it, right? So we'll pass, like we'll let them keep going, but it'll print this message that tells them that they can't use NVM Highscore. And I guess what we do is like maybe here's, I guess, what we have. Whoa. Type. This could be game. Should probably not be self either. They're like static or whatever, right? They're not meant to be instance variables. Okay, so if you did select NVM but you don't have the library, then we will end up raising the import error from here. But if you're not using NVM Highscore, then you don't need the library. It'll print the warning, but nothing else will happen. Let's figure out, we must still have verbose true on some of these. Let's get rid of those, because I did see that's printing a bunch of extra stuff. Okay. Yeah. So I guess let's check it. Not Fumigai NVM helper. Surprised that's still alive. Wow, that took a very long time to reload. Interesting. So yeah, we got warning, missing NVM helper, will not be able to use NVM for Highscore. And then we got import error, cannot use NVM Highscore system without Fumigai NVM helper library. If we had initialized it to the SD card variant though, we'd be able to keep playing. We'd still get the warning print. There, missing Fumigai NVM helper, will not be able to use NVM for Highscore. But because it's SD card, it'll still work. Oh yeah, we do need to fix that issue. I think it's just the... What could it be, actually? Okay, so when we first create the label, it has no text in it, and it is visible. We had this bogus text at one point, which I'll delete, because that's not really a comment, though. It's just old code. But right now, we're not putting any text into it, but we are showing it. Therefore, it's visible, but it has no text in it. We push the button once, it becomes invisible. It still has no text in it, probably. We push the button again, now it becomes visible and the text gets put into it. So at this point, we can finally actually see it. So I guess the decision we need to make is, do we want to show it when the game first boots up or not? Do we want to wait for them to have to press the button once? I think we want it to where it shows when they press the button the first time. I think we don't want it to show at default. So I think what we do is we go self.highscorelabel.hidden. Starts out true, but also we need to... Actually, that might be all we need to do, because when we show it, it'll populate? Is that right? Yeah. So the first time I clicked now, it showed the high score. It doesn't matter which button you use out of these two, you can always see it on either. And of course, this is the SD card high score, so these scores are much lower from back before I cheated, which I do need to remember to go back and set that to 0. You know, it's getting close to done when you start removing all the debugging. Yeah, for sure. I think a couple other tweaks I'm going to make is I do think I'm actually just going to stick with this font for now. There is opportunity there. We could always come back later and find a 7-segment looking font that's the right size, and then we could use that. I think what I'll do, though, is just swap the background. Like, in this background, I'll edit the edit that bit out so there's no shadow behind there. But, like, that's another thing. Along with the separate high scoreboards, right? Those would be good stretch goals. Like, down the road, after the guide is out, if I or somebody wants to contribute more to this project, the separate high scoreboards and the font would be two good, like, you know, polishing, finishing touches type things. Another thing we could decide, I guess, is if we want the user to be allowed to swap the background. I actually do kind of want that. Maybe it should be, maybe one of these buttons should show the high score, and the other one should swap the background. Yeah, I think I like that. So if we're not on the one with shadow, we want to move ourselves to the one with shadow. Else, if we were on the one with shadow, we want to move ourselves to the one without shadow. It's maybe just called BG, but we should probably rename it. 6 is the smallest. Got some 7-segment fonts. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a couple of them floating around. There's some in the Seagrover's calculators. There was one in a K-Match widget, I think. One of the widgets that was in display layouts at one point. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's pretty sweet looking. I like that. Thanks for working on that, Neradoc. I appreciate that. I'll probably use that in the Learn Guide, if that's alright. And it's really neat. Thank you for making that. That's awesome. We need to remove the old one too, right? Because this is going to stack. I guess the other problem is this gets appended because it's the first thing in there. We would really want to pre-pinned the background. We want the background to be at the bottom of the stack, essentially. Which in this case, when it first got appended, it was the only thing. So we actually want remove. We want to remove first, actually. Remove the tile grid, then set the new bitmap, then make the new tile grid, then insert the new tile grid at 0. Same thing for this one. Remove it, make the new one with the opposite image, make the tile grid, insert 0. Got to add a sweat drop on the octopus. Maybe that would be too anime, though. Let's go. Here we go. See if we get any crashes or anything. We'll have the... Here we go. So now this one should hide and show the high score. Yeah, there we are. This one swaps to the other. Got to change the Boolean. Got to change the Boolean. Swap it. There we go. Nice. Yeah, I will touch it up. Unless, you know, either I'll remove that from the background if I don't get a different font. Maybe I'll end up with a different font. I'll take a look at some of those. We're pretty good there. We do have the both backgrounds now, and I can see both are kind of cool for different reasons. Haven't actually played on this one, so let me give a chance to this. I will say this one is probably a touch harder if you're less familiar with the game, because you might not know how many segments are inside of each tentacle yet. Like, does this one have 1 or 2 left? You know, I know the answer is 1 because I've played enough, but if you just picked this up and you have no shadows, you might think maybe there's 2 there. Maybe I have more time than I do. Oh, ran right into it. Yeah, I like it this way too. I think they're both cool. Oh, wasn't paying attention to the last one. I'm gonna stay. This one's gonna trap me in, but I'm gonna stay here. It's gonna be close. Oh, I was on the wrong button. Oh no! Put my finger on the joystick accidentally and tried to press it to move left. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay, right. It swapped afterwards. I was like, how did the shadows come back? That's what that long pause was me like, what am I looking at here? It makes sense though, because I tried to push this and it didn't do anything, obviously, and I moved and pushed this, but it was too late. I already got caught, but it swapped the background, of course, because that's what we just set it up to do. There's our new high score, though. Okay. That does make sense. I just kept spamming. Okay. All right. Okay. I think that's going to be it for today. We are very, very close. I guess one more thing I will... Oh, boy. Let's put that back. One more thing I'll do is I'll update the repo again in case anybody does want to play it in the current state. But do remember, I have not made that change to the sprites yet. I think what I'll do is probably we'll end up renaming this to like Octopus sprites, and then probably we'll have the code look inside of Octopus sprites. So that's one other change, kind of like, you know, custodial change that needs to be made. And I will do that before I make the PR to actually get it into the learning repo. But for now, you should be able to play it still if you just copy all the stuff out of sprites, put it on your root. Put it on the root of your CircuitPy drive. And this is that same branch that I linked earlier, so you can download it from there if you're interested. You know, check it out if you want. If you clone it, then you'll be able to update it as I change it as well, but you could also just download it from GitHub. Download the new version later if you want. Thanks for your time. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy the next week Friday with your wife. Yeah, thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. Also, thanks for the reminder. For anybody that didn't catch the end of Deep Dive yesterday, which I also actually meant to bring this up at the beginning of today's stream as well, and I have indeed forgotten again. So no Deep Dive next Friday. For me, at least. I won't be doing the Deep Dive next Friday. I don't know if anybody else is interested. I don't know if Scott, I kind of don't think Scott will be around, but maybe if so, and he wants to do it, then maybe he'll do one. But I will not do Deep Dive next week. I might try to pop in for a stream on Thursday evening. I can't promise that will happen, though, because I don't know what all is going to be going down on Thursday. But what I will say is, if I end up with free time on Thursday evening, then I may plan on doing a stream that night as like a make up for the Deep Dive, essentially. Like, we'll stream Thursday instead of Friday, maybe. But I don't know for sure. Keep an eye out on the live broadcast chat. Keep an eye out on my Twitch. You can follow me over there if you want. That is the best place to go if you want to get notified if that does end up happening on Thursday night. So thank you to everyone watching. Thanks to K-Match, of course, for the Hack Tablet giveaway, which we didn't talk about much this stream, but is still in the works. Remember, everybody, if you want to submit your entry for the first round of Hack Tablets being given away, you can get those in by the 3rd of August. If you need more information on that, you can ping me on the Discord. But there's a GIST link floating around out there, as well as a entry form to fill in if you want to be eligible for that. So sign up for that if you haven't. Thank you to everyone else for watching. DJ Devin, NearDoc, thanks for this awesome artwork. This is really, really cool. Super duper appreciate that. Thank you so much. DJ Devin, thanks for hanging out as always. C. Grover. Who else do we have around today? K-Match was here earlier. NearDoc, C. Grover, DJ Devin. That's the bulk of folks today. Paul SK, thanks for the reminder as well, and the well wishes. Yeah, I think we're getting close to last night's stuff. So yeah, thanks everybody. I will catch you next time. Hope everybody has a good day and a good weekend and all of that stuff.